sound like an idiot when I do my intro.
I'm glad you now realize that. That's why I don't want to do it, because I know I would too. So.
Okay, welcome to Small Town Gaze, everybody. My name is Chance.
And I'm Travis.
And this is our multi-cam setup. Unless none of this works when we get into the edit and we have to re-record the whole conversation, in which case we will just cut this. But, yeah.
I'm like wondering, because I'm not a professional filmmaker like you are.
Right.
Do I look at camera or do I never and just pretend it's not here?
Look at camera when you want to make a point.
Okay, so
like
I'll just
you,
continually
dear viewer,
look at the camera because I have a lot of important things to say all the time.
For sure. Don't blink either. Dead stare.
Perfect.
Well, we really went from nothing to something with the setup.
Yeah, this is kind of intense.
Yeah, a little bit.
Cool.
We're professionals now.
Yeah, now we just need like a professional set. So if anyone wants to donate any money, this is me looking at camera and begging, because I'm not above it, to donate money to us. Because we're not actually poor, but I'm just going to say that so you feel sorry for us.
I'm poor. I just spent $400 on Charlie XCX tickets.
Okay, well, one of us is poor, the other is not, and just wants you to feel sorry for them.
And that's why we have a Patreon now. Go to Patreon. I'm kidding. We don't have a Patreon yet.
It's like, wow, we're moving so fast.
I figure we need to build a following before we get a Patreon. Although you can just pay us.
True.
Yeah.
Support queer art.
Truly.
How was your week?
It was good.
Yeah?
It was good. Bought Charlie XCX tickets, and that's pretty much the ball. I have a slight cold, getting over that, but other than that.
You had a birthday?
I did have a birthday. I am 19 now.
19, good.
Goo goo gaga.
Okay, yeah, just a baby.
Yep.
Okay, and you celebrated your birthday a little bit?
Yeah. All you can eat sushi. I ate my weight in raw fish, as is tradition. And yeah, that's pretty much all my husband bought me a lovely cake. You know the issue with store-bought cake?
I do know a lot of issues. If you'd like to go, we could do a whole hour just on my issues with cakes.
It sounded like a setup for a Jerry Seinfeld joke, actually, now that I think about it. But there was literally half an inch of frosting on this cake. It was delicious.
What kind of frosting?
Like buttercream. I don't know. It was super rich. The cake was delicious, but there was just too much goddamn frosting.
Okay. Well, I like the whipped topping, like it's a little bit lighter. But I'm clearly not shy to any form of frosting. There's a hair here that I'm just going to move. I love all types of frosting. I don't discriminate in frosting, just in people.
How was your week?
It was good. Thursday, I got second place, my lot to life, in a stand-up comedy competition with 14 others.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I was never been so nervous, but I didn't even think I was going to place. So second place out of 14, I'm going to take that as
pretty good.
A big win. And then I went to Denver this weekend.
What were you doing in Denver?
Just visiting a friend who lives there. Just had some... It was a very last minute decision to do. And yeah, I'll talk about it a little bit more because there were some kind of interesting grinder stories and drag experiences in Denver.
Ooh.
Where I'm going to say when this podcast someday really takes off, I hope a Denver queen goes back and looks at this and they just drag me through the fucking mud about it.
Are we about to talk shit about Denver queens?
A little bit. Not really about them, but more of their setup than anything. So I'm sure it'll piss someone off at some point.
Well, they're big city queens. They don't need to be coddled.
No, but I'm sure they
want to be.
Yeah. So we'll get into that.
Yeah. What do you want to talk about mostly today?
Well, I think just bringing that up is actually a good little segue into talking about our experiences in queer spaces, both small town and heading to the big old city.
Ooh.
Of what that's like. So my question to you is, what was your first experience in a gay bar?
I'm so glad you asked, because I know exactly. I remember it very vividly because it was... So when I was in high school in my very small town, New Lisbon, it was right after I came out. So I was freshly 18. And in Madison, Wisconsin, there used to be a gay bar called Plan B. and I don't think it's there anymore. I looked a couple of years ago and I couldn't find anything. But when I was in high school, I was 18, recently had come out, and they did college nights on Thursdays, so you could get in if you were 18 and over. And me and a couple friends, I honestly don't remember who, so you can tell we stayed in touch. We drove to Madison to go to Plan B. And I feel like we were only there for like 45 minutes because none of us were 21. We couldn't actually like enjoy ourselves or anything. But I have a very, very clear memory of being grinded on by some twink to the song Katy Perry's song Dark Horse. And that was my first experience in a gay bar. I remember it vividly. Just the random twink grinding on me to Dark Horse by Katy Perry. And I think that's why I'm into twinks now.
Interesting. Well, what a great song to have an experience with, because I don't think anyone has any great experiences with that song.
I don't think so.
Pretty terrible.
I'm the only one.
Plan B, interesting enough, is where Trixie Mattel got a lot of her time, and she did her like viewing parties on her original season 7.
Plan B in Madison?
Yeah.
Is it still there?
No, I don't think so. I think it closed within the last few, maybe like around COVID time.
Yeah, probably.
But yeah, she used to spend a lot of time there performing, and that was kind of her space in Wisconsin.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, what do you know? So, we have another thing in common with Trixie Mattel. She'll be on the pod one day.
Right. True. Okay, interesting. Plan B. I have only been there one time actually myself. It was fun. They had a really great air conditioning system. I remember that. That's always what I'm looking for.
Of course, the drag queen remembers the AC.
Yeah. I wasn't in drag though, but I just actually I could have been in drag, but not like for a show. I was just definitely like hopping around at that point.
Did they have the shot? I remember when I was there, they had shot boys in just tighty whities walking around distributing shots, but they had the tighty whities like duct taped to their waist to stop people from pulling them down, because that was a big problem, I'm sure.
Yeah, I don't remember that. I probably was really just focused on the air conditioning, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Like finding the nearest vent is always like, anytime I go to a bar, that's what I'm looking for, is where is the nearest air conditioning vent.
I'm going to stand in front of it and not move.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Okay. Plan B. Well, that's I feel like that's a good, like, that was a great bar.
It was a positive experience. It was a cool space from what I remember it. And it was a great experience for me. I got ground on.
Interesting.
Is that the past tense of grind? To grind on someone is to get grounded on?
Well, now that you've been texting with me for a while, I don't think I'm the person you should be asking about any grammar or punctuation questions.
Me neither. I famously can't read.
Well, then perfect.
Yeah, that's why I'm a film person.
Okay. And that's why I'm a personality person.
What about you? What was your first gay bar experience?
Well, mine was Scooters here in Eau Claire.
Okay.
I'm trying to think if I can remember. Yes, actually, my like very first experience there, ever stepping foot in that bar. Well, actually, I have a really weird side story that I'll just tell, and then you can decide if you want to edit it out or not. But
okay.
Again, this is going to go into the many lives that I have lived throughout my decent, long-lived life.
Is this the tragic story of the week?
No.
Because I think that's becoming a segment.
Yeah, I don't know if it's tragic. I don't know. I'll let you decide.
Okay.
So while I was attending college, I needed to pay for things in life. And I got a job driving taxi here in town. Very interesting enough. My uncle owned a mechanic shop, and he worked on the vehicles, and that's how I got the connection to get the job. So me and my best friend both got jobs being taxi drivers in town.
Cool.
Which is way before Uber and Lyft. I'm talking 20 years ago at this point. And so you had to take a taxi. There wasn't options of those. Yeah. So they were popular at the time. And it was such a great way to make money, cash money for sure. So people kind of think it's ridiculous, but it was good money. And I would often have to pick up one of the owners of Scooter's Bar from the bar after opening it in a late afternoon, early evening. intoxication and drive him home quite often. So that was technically my first experience with scooters. But actually going in the bar once I was old enough, at this time I was still doing like some college stuff and was living in my missionary days still. And I had been home for a bit and met up with some girlfriends. Am I not? Should I probably be up here?
The red light is on. Yep. Okay. Anyway, continue. Sorry.
Nope, you're good. And we would like go out every once in a while, and they're like, let's go down to Scooters. And I, of course, my curiosity was piqued. And we went down there, and Scooters back in that day was a really fun place to be. Like, it was a dance bar for like, older, like not college age people.
Yeah.
It was always busy and fun on Friday and Saturday nights.
I mean, it's been there forever.
Yeah.
Right?
I think so. Yeah. Well, forever for now, but, yeah. And so they had like the DJ going, and it was just super fun. And you could just like tell people were comfortable just being themselves there, which queer or straight, no matter what, you could be yourself there. And so we got our drinks and we sat at a booth, and my friend introduced me to one of her friends who was queer, which was like kind of beginning of first real experiences with like openly queer people.
Yeah. And this is before you were like out, right?
Oh yeah. At this time I might've been asexual at this point, but yes, I definitely was not out yet. But it did happen pretty rapidly after this, but, and I remember him kind of like flirting with me, but I thought he was just like joking. And then like come to find out he was being really serious about it.
That's how gay people operate a lot in my experience.
Yeah. So it was like the most uncomfortable yet thrilling experience. I didn't do anything about it or act upon it or anything. There was no grinding or grounding happening at all. There was no dancing from me happening at all. I was just sitting in the booth like, but yeah, so it was like a good experience. And then very shortly after that, like probably like a month or two later, I went back to Scooters again with those same friends, and there was a drag show that night, and it was actually a competition, a pageant, the Miss Chippewa Valley pageant. And I'll never forget, Kelly Jo Klein, who's based in Green Bay, was emceeing. So she was the first performance. And if anyone knows Kelly Jo Klein and you've watched her perform, it's amazing. She's a really amazing, talented queen. And she came out to Lose My Breath by Destiny's Child, which is like a bop of bops. And she had this fringe costume on and was just like giving it hell. And I was like so enthralled by it. And I was like, that's going to be me someday. And now the only thing that I have in common with Kelly Jo is I'm the age she probably was at that time, but I could never dance like her. I would never have the costumes that she has, because she's amazing. But yeah, so that was my first experience seeing a drag show.
Ooh.
Yeah. And I like immediately knew in my brain that was what my life was going to be.
And look at you now.
Look at me now.
Accomplished, booked, busy.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, you've really done like an incredible job in a smaller town of like creating that kind of work for yourself and other queens. I mean, you're the show director for us and for a bunch of you're the show director for like a bunch of bars around. You were the show director of Scooters for a while. So you've really like kind of made that space better and for local queens, and you've expanded it a lot. A lot of places around town now do drag shows with regularity that I don't think were doing it before you kind of took the helm and got a lot of it going.
Yeah, I'm a really pushy bitch, and I like to be in control of everything.
I can confirm both of these.
My childhood, trauma of feeling out of control with everything going on around me. Now I feel the need to constantly be in control of everything. So, yeah, I don't know how that's just kind of the way I'm. Like, no matter what I'm doing in life, I'm always like trying to evolve and grow in something. And so I think that was like just a natural thing with me with drag of like, I feel like obviously my drag has evolved aesthetically and stuff a lot too. And my personality, it's helped me with a lot of confidence and things. But yeah, just like at the time when I first started doing drag, it was very much like taboo. It was very much a family thing. And like the queens were like the shit in the bar. I mean, it's still definitely that way, but it was like a whole nother thing because
Yeah.
there wasn't Drag Race, and like you had to really want to do it, and like especially the queens in Eau Claire like commanded the respect when we would come out, and like
Yeah.
we came out like as a group even without performing because there was only one monthly drag show at that time. So but we would go out every weekend, like every Saturday for sure, sometimes every Friday. If you were me, every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I was in drag for a full 2 years, not even joking. But yeah, it was just like a cool experience to be a part of that, and like how much fun it was to go to the bar and just like have people respect you and earned respect. I mean, it wasn't like we just demanded it for no reason and treated people like shit. I mean, some people did, but
Yeah.
I always tried to treat people the way that I would like to be treated. And I think that's why I was able to get the career that I have.
Do you feel like that's changed now? Like when you and the other queens kind of go out to local spots, do you feel like there is still that kind of level of respect and awe, or from the randos, or do you feel like with Drag Race and drag becoming a little bit more mainstream and acceptable, do you think that's kind of gone away?
A little bit of both. I still think people, I guess, speak locally, respect us because, again, I feel like most of us do a good job of respecting our audience. I mean, there's moments, and I'm not perfect, and no one is, but so yeah, like when we go walking in a bar, I mean, I'm also 7 foot tall in drag.
Yeah,
literally.
most of you are very large.
Yeah, and
men
yeah.
dressed like women.
I forget that too, and we'll get into this later. Like when I've gone to other bars, like how like just bigger people we are in this area, and like just tall. Like most queens are 6 foot tall at least, or over here, and I'm 7 foot tall and 5 foot wide. So I'm not like I'm making an entrance no matter where I go. So yeah, we still get that, but it's definitely not the same as it was. But it's still fine. Like, yeah.
I mean, just getting more accepted into the mainstream has probably lost a little bit of the mystique of, oh, there's a drag queen. It's like, oh yeah, there's a drag queen.
Yeah, true. I thought you were talking about Mystique, like the drag queen from Drag Race. I was like,
no,
what an interesting choice to bring up.
No.
Yeah, no, it's definitely like lost its thunder a little bit, but it's still like, again, people love, we put on costumes and wigs and makeup and do all this stuff, and people want to like talk to us and ask us questions, and most of the queens in this area, and I shouldn't say queens because we have a lot of other types of performers. We have kings and male presenting performers that are very personable and very great, so that really helps make people want to be around us and be a part of us.
And just, I mean, you all have big personalities both in and out of drag, so
yeah, that's been like an interesting thing to find my personality. Like I always felt like in drag I had a very similar personality in and out, but like only a very select few people knew my personality outside of drag because I was very closed off to like having that. I wanted it to be a very separate life.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but
I mean, you are just you're quieter and more chill than I expected out of drag. Than like the first time I met you out of drag, I was like, oh, there's Chloe, but as Travis is kind of nicer.
We'll change that, don't worry.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah, it was interesting, and that was the thing about drag back then too, and just like in nightclubs, it's like it was a once a month show, and that was it, and it was at Scooters, and there was no other drag, and then just like watching it evolve to now where it's like pretty much every weekend here, and at multiple venues
and stuff like doing, I mean, Pride in the Park shows just out in the hot summer sun, families and shit.
Very first Pride show experience in Eau Claire was actually comical, and I should see if I can find a picture from it because it's hilarious. Pride in Eau Claire actually has exploded lately too, which is kind of crazy. If you don't know like the origins of it. And I was actually, this is crazy to think about too. I was on the board when I first started doing drag. I was also on the board committee to help like the community center and to like help get Pride going in Eau Claire.
Yeah.
And when I first started it, very first Pride was on Bronze Bay in Carson Park, which is like a tiny little peninsula. And there was probably like 40 people there, if that, and a little beer
Interesting.
cart. And Dominique DeGrant and I performed. We were the only two queens. And it was literally like a boombox that we brought a CD, an actual CD to play on. And our changing tent was an actual camping tent, so I couldn't even stand up in it. So I just had to change behind a truck and hope that no one saw me. And I performed Madonna's Like a Virgin and Rihanna, Only Girl in the World.
Good choices.
Yeah, so that was interesting. And now Pride in the Park is like in our huge downtown park, and there's like 150 vendors and a huge drag show, and it's just like wild to watch that become such a thing too.
And word on the street is a local bar will be doing a block party this year.
Oh,
Cough,
love that.
cough.
We love that. We love a good block party.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's crazy to think about just how things have changed in Eau Claire in such a short amount of time.
Was there like, I mean, we mention it every episode. Eau Claire is a big city. Eau Claire is not a big city. It's not a small town. It's not a big city. Anyway, side note, I've decided our angle when people say that is we are too big of gays for how small the town is.
Facts.
Yeah. We're big city gays trapped in a smaller city.
I agree with that.
Anyway, like, what was I going to say? Back in the day, was there like pushback at the drag shows or from like the community of doing stuff like that first Pride in the Park? Or has it always been like a little more accepting than maybe an even smaller town?
I guess I can really only speak to my experiences of it's always been pretty good. I will say that, I'm trying to do this in like a polite way, of, I feel like back then bars and bar owners were, a little more like, would take advantage of performers, especially because we didn't have a lot of venues that could care to host us.
Yeah.
Even though we were still like selling out the bars, like since I've been doing shows in Eau Claire, the shows have been packed almost every time we do them, just because we have really amazing performers in this town.
And a very supportive community.
Very supportive community. Yep. And despite packing places, there would still be pushback of like, you're just lucky that we let you do this. So, but that was like from owners, not necessarily from community.
Yeah.
So it's been, yeah, there's been a shift of like support in that where like other places, and like quite honestly, the name of the game is profit in this country, and everyone wants to make money, and unfortunately that happens on the back of queer art a lot, not just in drag but just performances. You know, even like mainstream media, a lot of backup dancers or choreography or costuming comes at the cost of queer art.
Yeah. And just pop culture in general. I mean,
Yeah.
all like, there's the kind of theory that like most of pop culture, like straight people pop culture, is based off of gay culture, and all of gay culture is based off of like black culture. That's
sure.
kind of the pipeline.
Yeah, for sure.
Everything we're doing that we think is cool, people of color were doing cooler in a cooler way before us.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. If there's anything white people are good at, it's stealing. So.
Yes, so good.
But no, yeah, no, it's true. But yeah, it's just definitely, it has become more open and accepting, and like more family friendly things now too. And
Yeah.
but Eau Claire has always been a really lovely town as far as acceptance. We're a blue dot in a very red area, which is very lovely and lucky to have a very supportive community for sure. And it's been interesting too, of like we were talking about like going to different gay places and like clubs and experiences, and that was one thing I did a lot of when I first started doing drag, is because there was only one monthly show here, so if you wanted to perform more than once, you had to drive other places.
Yeah.
And so I was very lucky that Ophelia Junk and Felicia Ashton, two local queens here, like really took me under their wing, and also I had a car, so they probably just had to deal with me. But no, they were truly really like, they were like my aunties, my little fairy god aunties. And we would have really fun road trips, and like we would drive to Green Bay in fucking snowstorms. We would drive down to La Crosse in snowstorms. We would drive to Madison in snowstorms. for free bookings. Like, we didn't care. We just wanted to like experience, and like we had friends in those places and got to meet them. We'd pay for hotel. Like, you wouldn't make any money. You'd in fact lose money, and I was paying for gas. But Felicia and Ophi, the only one paying for gas. They'll lie and say they did pay sometimes, but they probably did. But me usually paying for the gas. But yeah, so we had to like drive and go experience these other places, and like a lot of times do free bookings are very like minimal pay. At least for me. I mean, they were more experienced, so they might have been getting paid, but I was just happy to do a spot. And honestly, a lot of times I would just go with them and sit in the audience in full drag, just so like people could get to know who I was.
Yeah. Exposure doesn't pay the bills, but it certainly helps get some gigs that will pay the bills.
Right. Yep. And that's how like this could be another episode for another episode stuff of I think that's interesting to talk about, like new school versus old school. And it's such a drama thing within the drag community, which I think is hilarious and I love it. But that's how we used to get our bookings, and that's how you would just work for free. And nowadays queens, which like good for them, honestly, it's great that they can demand bookings, but like they just don't understand, like you don't the first time I got paid like $100 was such a huge deal.
Yeah.
And now it's just kind of like most
only
of them
$100.
Yeah. They don't even step out of their house for anything less, which good for them. Glad they're making the money.
Drag is expensive, but
it's very expensive.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have so many good memories of different queer establishments around town, or around the state. One of my favorites that I think of was the Shelter Club in Green Bay. If you've ever been there, it closed unfortunately, but it was owned partially, at least, by a drag queen. And so like they had the basement was like set up with like really great stations, and it was a huge stage and just like a really cool bar. And like that was like the bar you wanted to perform in Wisconsin at that time. Like it was amazing. And I did get to perform at it a couple times, which was like, I remember, such a huge deal and honor to do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, and little nightclubs like Oz and Wausau performing there too. My first time was getting to be a Spice Girl in a group number.
Ooh. Which one were you?
I want you to guess. Because it's irony at its best, if that helps you.
Scary.
No.
Posh. No. Sporty. Mm-hmm. You were.
Yeah,
I should have guessed that.
A fat,
first.
Sporty Spice. I would like you all to have that noted. Because no one in drag wants to wear fucking joggers and sneakers. I mean, I do.
Yeah.
So it was like, I always had to play sporty because everyone else had their roles,
If you find a picture of that, we will insert it here.
Yeah, I don't know if there will be. I'm pretty sure. I know I do have one picture because one time I got to play Ginger, which was like
a big deal.
A big deal.
You got a promotion from
Sporty. I got a promotion, yeah, and it was probably only because Ophi was sick or not, But no, that was like Spice Girls was our thing back in the day, and Sporty was always just a rotating character of whoever was available. But everyone else, like Felicia was always scary, Jem was the posh, Ginger was always Ophi, and Dominique was always Baby. And then
these all track.
Yeah, they're great at them. Yeah, and then just my ass up there ruining Sporty Spice. But
I am actually I want credit for knowing the names of the Spice Girls. I just want that credit real quick. My husband will understand.
Okay.
My husband is very proud of me right now for knowing at least 3 of the Spice Girls' names.
Well, you're not really a gay if you don't know the Spice Girls, so.
But I do, so I am.
Yeah,
great
good for you.
I get to keep my card.
Yeah, and I also remember the first time I traveled up to Minneapolis, because our town is about an hour and a half ish from Minneapolis, which is a big city. Mm-hmm. And I remember going up to the Gay 90s for the first time and seeing a drag show there, which was just like incredible. That was like such an experience to see like girls who perform 5 nights a week. And, they have an actual dressing room where they can keep their stuff and money and those kind of things. So it was really incredible to see
how like a big city does it compared to like these smaller Wisconsin towns.
Yeah. But like the most incredible thing was seeing that a lot of my small town performers here in town were keeping up with those big city girls too. But just like there's just something about the glitz and glamour of seeing a big city stage with people on it. I mean, they're definitely whether costuming or anything's the same. It's just, I don't know. It's just like an aura, I guess, about it.
Under the lights, the
Yeah.
limelight.
Yeah.
They get to invest a lot more money in their lighting stuff than a place like bars downtown.
Right.
Eau Claire can
It's like
invest.
set up constantly. You know, the
Yeah.
stage is always there, and they can do that, which is great. We're like we don't have that in our town,
Yeah.
which is fine. But
We have a disco ball, and we have a shitty DJ light setup that I may or may not have bought on Amazon 10 years ago for $100, and 2 smoke machines that only sometimes work.
hey,
You take what you can get.
you take what you can get.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been cool to like just see the evolution and growth of not only drag, but just like queer culture and experiences in Eau Claire I've been in the scene now. Like I'm going on I just celebrated 15 years in drag. So 16 years in the, yeah. Professional working queen.
I mean, even in just the past like 6 years that I've been here, it's nice to see the community grow and like shows starting to happen at more places. I mean, the bar that I work at, we only started doing them after COVID. But so many places do them in drag brunches and the family friendly ones. And it's really great to see.
Yeah. And that's definitely, come at the work of a lot of the performers in this town and just the connections that we make with people. Like knowing Nick and then getting to know you was a connection of getting it going at the Firehouse.
Mm-hmm.
And the different things at like the Lakely, and obviously we still have our stuff going on at Scooters. And then Fireball, which was like such a huge thing that I think really grew drag in this town. Of the first time we ever had a RuPaul's Drag Race girl in town was because of the Fireball event, which was incredible.
The Fireball is, for those of you who don't know, is a massive drag show that the what is the name of Chris's department?
GSRC, Gender and Sexuality Resource Center, I believe.
I think that's right. At University of Eau Claire puts on, and it's like the largest drag show in the Midwest, or in Wisconsin anyway. It's a massive show. I might be talking out of my ass and saying it's the largest, but
I think that's correct.
I think I've heard that be said before.
Yeah.
So
It's definitely won some awards for
yeah,
it.
and it's a massive 2-night fantastic experience. I've gone the past 2 years, plan on going for the next 7, as long as it's still going.
As long as I'm alive, it'll happen.
Yeah.
Once I die, it's over.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Yeah. And yeah, just like things like that too. Like the first year we did it, it was just all local performers, and there was, I want to say like 200 or 300 people attended it, which was like incredible for
something
just starting a first year. And then the next year was the year they brought Latrice in, and it went from like 300 people to like 700 people.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next year they got, a headliner for 2 nights, and it's just like has grown into like, now it's 2 nights and there's about 1,000 people a night that come.
Yeah.
But the last 2 years we have not had a RuPaul's Drag Race girl.
Last year there was no headliner, right? And the year before that was a Dragula
headliner.
girl.
Yep.
So
But yeah, which we still have sold out
yeah,
both years. So that just shows how great our local drag is too.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, there's so many, obviously all Drag Race queens start out as local girls and whatever. And they always talk about supporting local drag, but like Eau Claire is really a community that like not only says it, but does it and puts their money where their mouth is for sure with supporting local drag.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this episode's a lot about drag, which is fine and great because it's a big part of my life. So I guess that's what we're going to talk about. And now it has to be a big part of your life too.
Drag has become a big part of my life.
Whether you like it or not.
Whether I like it or not. So I hang out with you. I host trivia with a drag queen every Tuesday. And
yeah, is there anything you'd like to embellish about that? Any good stories from hosting with Felicia? I'm sure there's got to be some funny ones.
Having 2 barely literate people host trivia is really fun. And I think people actually come out just because of that, because neither of us know how to pronounce words. And I'm not gonna. She's in Las Vegas right now, so she's probably not gonna listen to this. But I can definitely read slightly better than her, but not by much. Yeah. So,
Yeah, so a lot of times, anytime there's like a new opportunity in town, people immediately message me because I'm just kind of like the go-to person for it. And I was like, I wanted Felicia to do trivia with you so bad because I just knew it'd be hysterical because she's so funny, even when not trying to be.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I've yet to make it just because Tuesday nights I have other things going on, but I got to make it some night because I really just want to watch.
it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And we make just dumb jokes and talk shit. And she has her favorite regulars who come almost every week that she hits on, and their girlfriends sit there and laugh. And one of them still needs to bring his mother to trivia because his mom called him while he was at trivia, and Felicia was talking over the mic at him, like telling him he has a nice ass or whatever. And I guess his mom on the phone just goes, "Who is talking to you like that?" So he is going to bring his mom to trivia one day, and I can't wait for that. It's dumb stuff like that that just makes my week.
Yeah, which is like awesome that there is more opportunities in other spaces that may not be like necessarily queer identifying, but queer in their comfort.
Yeah.
In town, where on a random Tuesday night in Eau Claire, Wisconsin, you can go play trivia with a drag queen. And on a random Thursday night in Eau Claire, you can go play bingo with a drag queen.
Shameless self-promotion.
Which was actually, there has been drag bingo for quite a while in Eau Claire, which is hysterical because Jump started it years ago. But now there's, multiple drag bingos in town. So there's just like, yeah, you can get the queer experience and the drag experience kind of a good amount in Wisconsin.
And I think there's a second drag queen trivia too at Scoots. I think they started doing it again.
I don't know if it's drag, but they do trivia for sure.
I just remember when that started, because our trivia that Felicia and I host, we do it on drag queen time. So we say it starts at 7. It doesn't actually start until 7:15, which all the regulars have gotten accustomed to that. And we started doing it not because she's a drag queen and drag queens are perpetually late, except for you, actually. We started doing it because we would start at like 7:05, and a bunch of the regulars wouldn't roll in until like right around then, or 7:10. So we're like, okay, we'll start a little later. But when Scooters started doing their trivia or posted about their trivia, they had on the poster specifically, first question starts at 7. And I thought that was a really funny dig, because I think some people gave us shit for starting trivia whenever we feel like it. But like, we still get done by like 9, so it's fine.
Just be happy there's someone there doing trivia.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, fuck them. And I would like to be noted that I am always very prompt and always on time. And honestly, most of our performers are as well. And like, if we're ever starting late, it's because we're like waiting for people to stroll in. Like, usually we're all ready to go like at 9 o'clock. So I would just like that to be noted, that we are.
Yes, you all being perpetually late was a joke.
Yeah, thank you. I would like that. Please look directly into the camera and apologize to me.
I apologize to Travis Gorell, aka Chloe Wold, and the rest of the local queens
and performers
and kings
for perpetuating
untrue
rumors, misinformation, and I love them all. And they're the very best, but Travis/Chloe is the absolute best.
And they're the very best, but Travis/Chloe is the absolute best.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And that was not under duress.
There was no forced in that.
No.
That was from the heart.
She is not holding a gun at me right now.
Yeah, I do have several guns in the house, actually, in case anyone was wondering.
A pew pew.
I do actually want to, this is totally off subject, but whatever, it's a good side note. Well, actually, it's not really off subject, because I feel like in queer culture, a lot of what we do is going to the bars and drinking and drag shows. I mean, that is just what it tends to be, which is fine. And I love all that. Like, I will go to a drag show at any time I can because I just love it. But maybe some people don't. And so they're wrong, but maybe some people don't. But I'm like, I always like, I'm thinking of like what we could do more in the community. Cause I know there are people that like, are like, I'm so sick of drag and I don't always want to see drag. And I get it. Like it's a lot. So like trying to think of different things to do. And like, when you ask people, they don't always like give advice, you know? So it's like, well, what do you want? You know?
If you're sick of drag, like, what do you want to see?
Yeah.
Because I mean, especially from like my perspective as someone who runs a bar, that's how half of our events, not the drag shows, but half of our other events started at the bar I run was, I want this specific like weird theme party to happen at like Chapel Roan night or Club Brat, Charlie XCX night. Like, I want that stuff to happen in this town. No one is making it happen, so I'm going to make it happen. And like, when it comes to like, oh, I'm sick of drag, I want people to suggest stuff because I can make it happen. I have the power to. I want to, but I don't know because I'm not sick of drag.
Yep. And that's like, I tend to like oversaturate drag because that's what I do. And so I'm like, well, I want things to do. So I tend to like lean towards just doing drag, which we've gotten a lot of shit. We've gotten a lot more praise, but about like this last Pride season, we had like 10 drag events going on in the month of June, which was amazing and never thought would happen. And they were all really well attended and like people love it and want to see it. And we tried to do like different times a day and different venues and different kinds of events. So it wasn't just like come to a drag show. It was like different kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
But we did get a lot of people that were like, why is this all just drag events? And I'm like, well, then tell me what you want. Like, what do you want to do? It will make it happen. And I do feel like the Firehouse specifically did a good job. I don't know if we can say that name, but whatever. It's a praise. The Firehouse specifically did a good job of trying to make other types of events. And we were very like thoughtful with that of like, it wasn't just all drag. Like we had different kinds of events going on that weren't just drag. We did do a lot of drag too.
Yeah.
But, and that's the thing. Like if you want it, make it happen.
Yeah. Or tell someone like us who are people who can make stuff happen.
Right. But so speaking of that, what I want to make happen is like, I was like thinking of like, what's a ridiculous like sport that like gay people aren't known for doing. And I was like, well, and like thinking of like leagues we could join. And I was like, I think there is a volleyball and like a softball league in town and for queer people, which is great, but that's like so stereotypical.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, it'd be kind of funny to do darts or like pool, but like
we could start a gay dart league.
We could do that, but I'm not really gonna be into that. So you should do it, and anyone else who's interested should do it. But I was thinking it'd be hilarious to have a clay pigeon shoot, like a trap shooting team.
Yes.
Because one, we should just know how to shoot guns anyways, because let's face it,
2024.
Yeah, useful tool. But how funny would it be to have a queer trap shooting league?
I think that's a fantastic idea.
Yeah. I feel like I want to make that happen 2025.
We can make that happen.
But we need a really ridiculous name. So if anyone has like a great suggestion on a gay trap shooting league name,
email us, smalltownbiggays@gmail.com.
Yeah. And if you're interested in joining, also email us.
Yeah, please.
So we can start it.
I would actually love that to happen.
I'm being dead serious when I say it.
Same. I mean, I've been thinking about purchasing firearms for a little bit now. And I honestly, part of the appeal of buying a gun is walking into a gun shop, which is traditionally like a pretty conservative space, and being completely open about how I am a flaming homosexual and I am going to purchase firearms and learn how to shoot them, because I think the cognitive dissonance going on in like those people's eyes is going to be hilarious.
Yeah.
Because I'm like a bleeding heart liberal, but also a gun owner. And they're going to be so confused. It's going to be great.
Yeah. I don't know if I want to be a gun owner, but I want to be a gun shooter.
Yeah.
I just think it's hilarious. I went, it's been probably, maybe a year or two ago now. I went to Tennessee with my best friend and we stopped. I think it was I don't know if it was it was the world's largest gun store in Tennessee. It was huge. And I thought it was hysterical. My friend wanted to go in and I was actually really uncomfortable, to be honest. I was like, oh God, we're in Tennessee, like in the world's largest gun shop.
Yeah. Everyone in there was packing.
Yeah, well, it was just really scary. But we went in, and then I just like got that uncontrollable like laugh where I could not stop laughing because I was so uncomfortable. But they had like if you've ever been in like a Gander Mountain or like Shields
Hunt,
or whatever,
fish, camp.
yeah, they have like the displays of like their taxidermied animals.
Yeah.
Well, they of course had those in there, but the one that had me cackling the most was this one where it was like Native Americans like in canoes in the water, but they were like horrifyingly looking Native American people.
I have definitely seen similar setups somewhere.
Okay, but get this, it gets even worse than that. So not only are there Native Americans like in their canoes, but there's dinosaurs then like drinking out of the river that the Native
Americans are in.
canoeing. Yeah. There's just dinosaurs everywhere then. So I don't know where that came from. It's probably some
Like a creationist,
yeah, like some,
4,000-year-old.
Yeah,
Oh,
thinking
God.
of like how to biblically be okay with dinosaurs being around, which I do want to do a whole segment on religion one time and talk about how during my last missionary stint, I became very bitter towards the church and asked the pastor who was like in charge of the place that I was living, mind you, he was in control of where I was living. I asked him if he had an explanation and if dinosaurs lived in the Garden of Eden. And he did not find that as funny as I did. And then I asked him about cavemen. And during that religion episode, remind me, and I'll give you what he said about that because it's actually a really great story and tried really hard to explain that one in the Bible.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just like a weird experience. So I feel like a little trauma whenever I go to like a gun, typical like masculine place like that. And I don't want to have that. So I'm just going to take control of it and learn how to shoot clay pigeons because I'm not going to kill anything. Just
Have you ever been? So this episode, we're recording this on Tuesday before Thanksgiving. It comes out the Friday on Black Friday. Have you? It's gun hunting season right now. It's deer season in Wisconsin. Have you ever gone hunting ever?
I want you to ask me that as seriously as you can.
Have you ever gone hunting?
Absolutely not.
I could see it for you though. I could see, because I think that is, I mean, especially in like small town Wisconsin, and this was when we were both kids, or assuming it would have happened when you were younger, when you were in even small. I don't remember if you were living in Eau Claire when you were like 12, 13, 14, or if you were in the really tiny town.
Yeah, well, so my dad is an avid hunter to this day. He's actually hunting in South Dakota as we speak.
Oh.
Yeah, it just never, we all knew was not going to be me. One, waking up early. Two, sitting in a tree. Three, being cold. Four, killing something. I mean, just the numbers could keep going for days of why I would never and could never and wouldn't be bothered. Yeah, I'm a princess for sure.
I did go hunting when I was...
That tracks for you. I feel.
Well, I was, because my birthday was last Thursday, and so it usually falls like in the middle of gun season, and so you can hunt when you're 12, and so on my 12th birthday, we woke up at like 5:30 a.m. My very first day hunting. I think we had to go and get my hunting license. And then I went deer hunting, and I got a 16-point buck an hour and a half into my hunting career on my 12th birthday. And yeah,
That's impressive.
it was a horse with antlers. It was a very large deer. I did not gut it myself, which is the only, not regret. I didn't want to gut it. And yeah, I love venison though. I've actually been thinking about starting to go hunting again as I'm getting older, weirdly. Like... It just sounds kind of nice to... I know, you look horrified right now.
Okay.
It sounds nice, honestly, just being... I hate the waking up early. But I'm an old man now that wakes up early anyway. And I like the idea of just going out and being in the wilderness. I'm kind of a wilderness person. And I like the idea of a lot of free meat. I don't like the idea of killing something. I don't like the idea of having to gut the thing I killed, but I'm not, opposed to it, I guess.
Okay.
So Butch.
I'll let you live in that fantasy.
I'm so Butch.
I mean, you are comparatively to me in this leopard print cardigan and my red frame glasses looking like Sally Jesse Raphael, who you have no clue who is.
I'm going to look up and insert a picture right here.
Yeah,
for the YouTube audience.
She was a TV talk show host, much like Ricky Lake or, Jerry Springer.
You do look
90s.
like a TV talk show host right now.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I love that hunting journey for you. I don't know if you know this, but you can also just go in nature. You don't have to kill anything there. You can just appreciate it. That's a thing. But free meat does not come from just sitting and appreciating nature.
I could also just go and play big buck hunter and get the same thrill, I guess.
And you could also come shoot clay pigeons with me now.
Which we're going to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't yuck people's yums all the time. I mean, I do constantly, but not really. But if you want to hunt, I love that journey for you, and I think you should take it.
The queer experience contains multitudes,
That's life,
Yep.
I am nothing if I say that I want my rights and be able to do what I want and not allow other people to, but I do not believe in assault rifles. So I'm just going to say that is on that.
I agree.
But if you want to shoot a deer and use the meat and display the head on your wall,
take the bones.
Yeah, I love that. I love that for you. Take the bones. Yeah, and I believe that you are the type of person that will probably use every part that you can. You will taxidermy. You'll keep its eyeballs in a jar.
I mean, I have 2 deer skulls buried in my raised garden bed at home right now.
Yeah,
just macerating. I had a buddy text me 2 days ago, and it was just like, "Hey, I got 8 deer legs for you if you want them."
Yeah, you're the type of person that I would text and be like, "Hey, I have a bag of bones or a dead animal. Do you want to taxidermy it or put it in a jar?"
It would not be the first time. I have a growing collection of curios. You haven't seen my new curio cabinet. You haven't been over to my house in a while, but I've got a big old gorgeous hutch solid walnut generational piece of furniture. $45 on Facebook Marketplace. Great deal.
Love that.
Full of dead shit.
That's great. This pot is really taking a turn from talking about queer. Well, we're talking about queer spaces,
talking about
just
queer
our own queer spaces. Yeah, that is like very the juxtaposition of you and I, where you have a curio cabinet of dead animals and I don't have a curio cabinet.
You have a very beautiful, well put together home.
Yeah, it just is my outward projection of what I want people to believe I am, perfectly put together and well presenting, which I am. I feel like probably 80%.
It works. Yeah, I think you are.
I'm 20% crazy for sure.
I think you're much more put together than I am.
Yeah. I agree.
But I can get you a cabinet of dead stuff if you want it. Well, we could put it somewhere in here.
I mean, I do have that fake.
I can get you a real one.
Yeah. Nope.
Okay.
I'm okay. Thank you.
Would you like a deer leg? I got 8 of them coming my way.
Are you just gonna eat them?
No, I don't. I don't want to necessarily talk about it in length on the pod, but I think I have to bury them in borax to mummify them or something. I don't know.
Okay.
We'll figure it out. Yeah. For our Halloween special.
Or edit this out completely.
No, this is staying in. This is staying in. The people need to know the real me.
Okay, so to loop back
Queer
into
spaces.
Actually, this kind of is a good segue. So I went to Denver this past weekend.
Oh, yes.
Which I went on hikes and enjoyed nature. And
nature.
I'm going to use the word hike very loosely because 1, altitude, 2, me, and 3, Denver is not in the mountains. It's right at the start of the mountains. So it wasn't like we were in the mountains. But I went to Denver this weekend to visit a friend who I hope is listening to this podcast. And we went to drag shows because when I travel, I love to go to drag shows. I want to, 1, just go to queer establishments and 2, support queer art. Mm-hmm. And I just I love drag, so I love to watch it. And we went to this drag show at a bar that is not actually a queer bar, but they do queer things in it, which is very similar to a bar here in town. And we love that. Yep. And I feel like it's more common nowadays than not. So they had a show. It was Wicked themed, which I'm sure we're going to irritate some listeners. I went to the movie actually and enjoyed it. I knew nothing about it. I've never seen the movie, the play or anything about it. Except I just know the Defying Gravity and the popular song because every drag queen who's even remotely interested in theater
has
done it.
Yeah.
So I like knew it from that. So it was a Wicked themed show. So mind you that there were limitations there. The performers were amazing. So the show was supposed to start at 9. We get there literally right at 9 because we know like it's not going to start till at least 9:15, 9:20, you know. And the performers are out talking to everyone, which I kind of love, but also just think kind of ruined. I don't know. Just in Eau Claire, we don't do that. Like we just come up like, you know, so they're ready to see us.
Yeah.
But a lot of bars do that where the queens like sit and talk to you before the show. 3 performers started at 9:45. Was supposed to start at 9. They each performed one song. Amazing performers, like truly incredible performers, like great dancers, total. And the hostess was like really amazing on the mic, really funny. Then they like asked for people's birthdays and stuff and like had them come up, and then I got roped into being a volunteer for this. And I thought it was like, oh, we're just going to do a shot and maybe like talk some shit. Mm-hmm. Well, turned into a twerking contest, which is like a nightmare. Also, they asked us for our names and then our favorite sexual position. And I was trying to be funny, but she did not catch on to this because like I was actually wearing this sweater, which is so gay. Mm-hmm. And I have like my eyebrows done and whatever. Like, you know, I'm queer. Like, it's just whatever. And she's like, hey, Travis, what's your favorite sexual position? And just like so deadpan. I was like, missionary. And like, I was like, all right, there you go. Like, come on, bitch. Like, read me to filth. Like, clearly I'm not doing missionary sex, but nope, got nothing from that. So then we did the twerk competition. And I was just like not having it and just was like done. Anyways, so did the twerk competition. Then about a 45-minute break. And then they each came out and did one more performance. And then the show was done at 11:45. So I got to see 6 numbers in 3 hours.
Interesting.
Very disappointing.
Yeah.
Because they were incredible performers and I wanted to see more, but I didn't get it. So then on Sunday, we go to Hamburger Mary's, and I love Hamburger Mary's. Have you ever been to a Hamburger Mary's?
I've never been to a Hamburger Mary's.
Hamburger Mary's is a restaurant, a queer restaurant that does drag shows, and like that's what they're known for. I've been to one in Milwaukee, which is actually the original, which is here in Wisconsin.
Really?
Yeah, it started in Milwaukee.
How the hell? I go to Milwaukee like every couple months. How have I never known there's a Hamburger Mary's there?
Yeah, well, you know, you're not really a very supportive queer, so we're learning
Apparently
that
not.
today. But yeah, now it's like I would say franchise because there's like 12 or 13 of them across the United States. And I went to the one in WeHo, which is like the big famous one. And so I'm excited to go to Denver, and also really excited because the queen who hosts the show there is like very big on TikTok, and people know her, and she's fabulous. So I'm like pumped, you know.
Who was
like,
it?
Her name's Jessica Lahore.
I think I know her.
She's kind of muscly, and yeah, she's great. Like very, very well known, very whatever. And I'm all excited, and they do like this big, like fun, like intro number to get you all excited. And then like they come out and they play a game, which I again get. People love the games and whatever. And then a drag king performs, which is great to see, you know, different types of drag.
Yeah.
And then the drag king plays a game. And then the drag queen comes out and performs one number. So now I'm going to remind you, this is now 2 numbers. And then they ask the tables to name a song, and then they do like 30 seconds of the song. So we saw 2 performances in the 2 hours that I was at Hamburger Mary's. So I went to 2 drag shows in Denver, and for about 5 to 6 hours total time at between both of these shows, and saw 8 performances.
8 total numbers.
That is one round at an Eau Claire drag show.
It really is.
So like again, and I was joking with Chance, like someday if this ever blows up, people are going to come back and just drag me through the fucking mud about this. But I want to see drag when I go to a drag show.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to see people doing a twerking contest or whatever. And like I get it's like a way for the queens to not have to do as much and whatever, and it's entertaining for the crowd and gets them involved. But there's a way to like do that and still perform.
Yeah. I wonder if that's like just a Denver thing. Is
I
it
don't
like
know.
Denver drag culture, or do the queens here work too hard? Which
Probably
is the
work
other
too
thought.
Probably work too hard, and probably, you know, again, it's a different venue type. I get it's a brunch show and things, but we still do that at our brunch shows. We're still doing tons of rounds.
Yeah.
stuff. I don't know. Maybe I'm just like way too old school and maybe just really need to change my way of thinking. But I loved, the games were funny to watch and I get it, but I just wanted to see more drag. Like, let me see your costumes. And I'm not saying you need to come out and do like a high energy song every round and like exhaust yourself.
But like more than two numbers.
Yeah. And like at Hamburger Aries, there was only one performance for each of them. They did do like that song thing at the end. So they did like a little bit of performing too,
Yeah.
but it just wasn't.
You want to see like more than
Like a planned out, like I want to
bit.
see your thoughts and like your creative side and like how, I don't know. Sometimes I just think it gets robotic of like, this is a costume I have and this is the song, which I do as well. I'm not saying I don't, but majority of the time I try and like think of a song and like come up with like a whole concept,
like a
around
story
it.
behind it. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe not even necessarily that, but like just something. I don't know. I love to see the creativity of performers, and I just felt like I was missing that a little bit at these specific shows. And that's not Denver drag in general. It was just my experience at these two random shows. But again, the queens were all and kings were all fabulous. They were really great and had amazing costumes and were awesome performers. I just wanted more.
That's why you wanted more.
Yeah.
It's because they were great.
Maybe they're just really into edging. They're probably just really kinky and they're like edging and just like make you want more. So then you come back, which, you know what, more power to them, honestly. It probably is for the best, but maybe some people are probably going to drag my ass for this, having this opinion, because you can't have opinions on anything. But
smalltownbiggays@gmail.com. Tell Chloe to kill
I did get
herself.
canceled once for having a strong opinion. That was a couple years ago. If
What?
you ever want to talk about that.
What opinion did you have that you got canceled for?
Okay, well, this is my time to share my side of the story. This is my true life moment. So it was right after COVID. I think it was like the summer, like 2020.
Yeah.
There was no performing going on here. So, but there was like some venues, like especially in bigger cities where like you could keep the social distancing and like be able to do stuff. So I was traveling around a lot, just like watching shows, not performing in them. And I had just noticed that like there was a couple shows where I had went to where like an MC was just like saying really dated jokes about like lesbians and bisexuals and stuff, which like are funny little waka wakas, but like it just felt like not coming from a great place and just like also like low hanging fruit. Like there's other jokes you can make, and it was just like repetitive, constantly going. And then I went to some shows in the bigger city where there was a small cast, but the show was going on forever and ever, where I felt like there could have been, and at that time, everyone was like begging for work. And I felt like there could have been more people invited to do the show to fill up more time instead of like having an MC just like talk for a long time.
Yeah.
There could have been more performers, and more performers could have been making tips and getting paid. But like I get it's a different venue, it's a different how they choose to run their shows, and I shouldn't have said anything, but I just said that I would have loved to see like more people performing because we were all begging for work at that time, and that I wish that MCs would just be a little bit kinder with what they're saying on the microphones and just kind of thinking and whatever. And I truly came from it at a place of love. And mind you, I was at these venues as a boy, and like outside of Wisconsin, really, and even in Wisconsin, most people would not know me as my boy self going into these queer spaces. But someone had turned my status into some bigger city queens who took that as me like reading one specific MC from a show that I was at, and it wasn't. Like 1/8 of that was about them, and that was just about talking too much. It wasn't about any of their. They didn't use any inappropriate jokes or anything. They were actually a really lovely MC and performer. But they took that as me talking about them, and then they just read me to filth on Facebook Live, and
on Facebook Live.
And
No.
it was a big queen, so there was a lot of response to it, and a few of them made some statuses and said some pretty nasty things about small town queens. So it's just really blown out of proportion. I'm actually kind of really uncomfortable talking about this right now, but it's necessary.
We can cut it out.
No, I don't think. I think it's important.
Okay.
The juxtaposition of I'll let you decide on the editing floor. This is my awkward. This is my tragic story.
Tragic story of the week.
But no, I mean it's true. I stand behind what I said, and I think there could have been, and I still think that a lot of time in bigger cities is that. For what I noticed is like obviously competition is stiff, but like there could be more opportunities given to other performers. And I feel like that's something I try to be fair about in this town, is I try to give equal opportunity to all performers and every type of performers. But I will say that at the same point, as a business person, there is bookability, and it's important to be bookable and to provide to an audience. So if you're not doing that, then
why would you get booked?
right. So it's a fine line. I get it.
Yeah.
Everyone has their opinions, and I'll let you decide if you want to keep that in the pod this week or not, or if we have enough other shit to talk about.
You said you have a good grinder story from when you were in Denver.
Oh yeah, it might not be that great, but it's kind of funny, just because of the political climate we're in right now. So again, I was in Denver this past weekend, and I had this person on Grindr message me, asking if I was into humiliation, which I am. You don't have to ask me twice to humiliate you, because I'll do it.
She does that shit for free.
Yeah, it's like, I'll do it to anyone at any time. Hey, send us a message. I will gladly humiliate you and myself. And this account was a DL account. And I'm kind of like going into 2025, like with a different synopsis of DL.
Yeah, opinion on DL men.
DL men. So I just ignored it because I was like, I would normally kind of like feed into it and just like start talking some shit, but I was like, whatever. I'm trying to turn over a new page in this new year, but that's not going to happen. But so I ignored it, and then he like kept like persistently saying things to me, and then the final one is like, "I'll drink your piss," which then I was like really intrigued, and I'm like, that is kind of like, maybe I should, like this is kind of doing the Lord's work, isn't it? And I really thought about doing it, but then I'm like, no, because I'm here staying with my friends, and it's their house, and there's a camera out front, and I should have done it, but
shoulda, coulda, woulda.
But I've never had anyone be that like
forward
about like, you can just piss in my mouth right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry to all mothers listening to this. We have a few mothers who listen who don't.
Do we
always,
really?
Yeah, that don't always want to hear us talking about sucking dick or pissing in people's mouths. But
well, thank you for your support, and too bad.
Part of the gay experience, really.
Yep, really is.
But I don't know. That wasn't like that great, but it's kind of funny.
Yeah, it's funny. I have one that happened to me yesterday, actually, fresh. I'm just like at home, chilling, random message on Grindr, faceless profile, and it's just an album with two pictures, and it is just a man, no head, but just wearing like a t-shirt, pants, cowboy boots, and a belt with a giant belt buckle, and just two pictures, one of him like standing, and then one of him like leaning against the wall like a cowboy. Okay. And no message, just an album with two pictures. So I just say, that's a nice belt buckle. Because I don't know what else to say, and I don't know. I don't even know why I responded.
You didn't say nice pictures, Dad.
No.
Oh, okay.
But
just me.
I just say, that's a nice belt buckle, and this man's response is, "It's okay." It's just fucking got me. And then he sends another album, this one with 3 pictures, and this time he's got his head is in it, but he's got a cowboy hat like over his face, and no shirt, no pants, cowboy boots, big belt with a belt buckle, like giant belt buckle, and in his underwear. And there's 3 pictures this time. One is like head on, one is like leaning against the wall again like a cowboy, and the other is like him doing like Superman pose, hand on his hips but facing away from the camera. And he's like, helps keep my shorts up too, and some other stuff. And I just don't respond because I'm like, I don't fucking know. Cut to 20 minutes later, he sends me a third album. This one, 3 pictures, same setup, but no underwear, just soft cock with the belt, with a giant belt buckle, cowboy hat, and cowboy boots. And it's 3 poses. One is head on, the other is again leaning like a cowboy, and then the other is
spread eagle, huh?
With just soft cock out. It was,
I'm just gonna call her because that's in my head her identity, and I apologize to this person because I don't have the actual pronouns to correct them by. But Good for her. She's living her ANTM cowboy
Good
moment and
for
like posing
her.
for the gods, and just the confidence is there, and we love that for her. And good for you.
You know,
That's what I'm gonna say.
older DL guys, they're into some stuff. I have questions. You know, is the boot belt hat combo the fetish, or like
Probably.
did he take those pictures specifically for me because I commented on the belt buckle, or did he have those 3 distinct albums ready to go?
Part of me thinks he probably had the albums ready to go.
I think so.
But I love the fantasy that he created those specifically for you. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna go
With that one.
Yeah. So when I was in Denver, I was with my friends, and one of them, he used to live in Eau Claire. He lives in San Francisco now. And he's listened to the first episode of the pod at least, and then was
Thanks,
like,
James.
yes, I was like, you know who it is. And was like, I was telling him about how we were going to start, sharing some Grinder stories. Like, oh, you should share the one about how you went on mine and offered a guy ham. And so it was right around Thanksgiving time. Like, probably, God, had to have been at least 7 years ago now. And James was just over, and he was on his Grinder, and this guy was messaging him, and he had no interest, but the guy would just like not take no for an answer. And he was getting ready to block him. So I was like, well, let's just like have some fun with this. So I took the phone and then was like, hey, do you want to come over? My mom's making a honey baked ham. And he was like really enthralled by that. And then I just like started going into all these like sexual things I wanted to do with him with the ham. Yeah. And he was so into it. He loved it. So, if you ever if you're looking for something to get a guy riled up in a small town, just
Honey baked ham,
which I mean, honestly, same.
I will say if someone hit me up on Grindr and they offered me honey baked ham, not the sexual stuff with the honey baked ham, but like if
Come on.
I mean,
you would.
When in Rome,
yeah,
right?
Come on, it's honey baked ham. You're gonna eat it out of anywhere. That should have been my drag name, honey baked ham.
That would be a good one.
I think about that a lot, about how if I started drag with like my comfortability and my personality more like where it is now, I would have a funny name. Like I wouldn't be Chloe Wold.
Yeah,
I would be like honey baked ham.
Honey baked ham. What is some other good?
Shalita Fridge Clean.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I know. I would have a great name now, but
our friend Max came up with chancel culture for me.
That's a good one.
Which is good. I think we're about ready to wrap this up.
Yeah, we went all over the place today.
We did. Mostly about drag, but
yeah,
that's okay.
I feel like it's always going to come back to drag.
Yeah, it probably will frequently. Okay, bye.
Bye.